Hey,
All
Tom.
right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Patient Pod, the holistic hub for everything health and wellness. This episode, we're going to talk about longevity, specifically certain areas that we've researched around the world that are called blue zones. These are areas that we see the highest increase in lifespan, as well as overall health and wellness through the roof. So, Dr.
Absolutely.
Bryant, let's go over these, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, like Dr. Agan said, these blue zones are places where people are living more consistently to 100 years old.
Wow.
Now, the average U.S. life expectancy around, well, I guess around the country, U.S. life expectancy is 77 years old. But in these specific areas, people are living to be 100 years old. So the longevity for these people is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to look into, what are the characteristics of those areas? What is some things that we can maybe learn from them and start incorporating it into our lives so we can have a little bit more longevity as well? Because the only thing that we really, we can't get back is that time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can do things now to help yourself have a little bit more time, it's all worth it.
Yeah, and what I like about doing this research is there's common characteristics or common qualities of life that you see in these blue zones that are pretty much the principles we're trying to coach and encourage in our podcast, and a lot of that just the overall pillars of wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to know that, like, if we do these little things now, how our quality and quality is big too. You can live to 100 and your last 20 years be miserable.
Yeah.
We're focused on the quality of life in these blue zone areas.
Yeah, and I saw, while we were doing this research, I could tell that most of these people did have a good quality of life. A lot of these people, while they were upper 90s, 100 years old, they were still able to take care of themselves and work on different things and cook and all those different things. So very interesting. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the 5 pillars of blue zones longevity diet. Now, I saw this on a podcast. Is it Rich Roll? Rick Roll?
Rich Roll,
Rich
I
Roll.
believe, yeah.
I've watched some of his stuff.
Sounds like a rapper.
It does. I don't know what the rest of his shows are about. So sorry if he has a raunchy show. But anyways, so what he said was with these blue zones, these people they eat. So there's 5. He calls it the 5 pillars: whole grains, greens, lots of greens, tubers, which is like sweet potatoes, nuts, and beans. That's what the most of their diet consists of. Now, some of the things that is really kind of crazy that I also researched is these people also only eat meat around 5 times per month.
Wow.
Where with most Americans, we're eating 5 times a day.
Carnivores.
Yeah, we're putting down a lot. Way less fish and eggs, actually, is what they say. They're not eating a lot of fish and eggs, and no dairy from cows.
So mainly a lot, coming from the earth.
Yep.
And I've heard that as well. And they're still getting their protein there too. And that's what's very vitally important, especially for males and females. But that protein intake is a healthy balance as well. And wow, I did not realize that.
Yeah, and actually, so I watched a YouTube video, and it was some of these people that live in blue zones, and basically one of the quotes that one of them said was, "Their body's busy while their mind is still." So their body's busy. They don't just go to the gym to work out. Their whole life is built around moving, doing things. They're always active. Whereas you can tell with our culture, lots of sitting, lots of just watching TV, looking at your phone. But these particular areas, they are moving from sun up to sundown. They just got different things that are going on. And with this this quote, I thought it was really cool because their body's busy, so they're doing a lot of things while their mind is still. So their body's busy, and if their mind is still, that means that you're decreasing some of that stress.
Well, they're present.
Yeah.
They're present. They're in the moment. And I think that's vitally important too, because I guarantee you, and I'm sure we're going to dive into it with their mental health
Yep.
capacity and their awareness of everything is very important. And, you know, another thing too is you limit distractions, right? A lot of these
Yep.
areas, they're not on their tablets, their phones, they're out moving and grooving,
Yep.
and ultimately eating all the healthy foods, getting sunlight
Yep.
is probably a big one for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next thing is the Power 9, and I thought this was really cool. And this was pretty consistent across the board on everywhere that I looked up. So the Power 9 is basically 9 characteristics that these blue zones really encompass or embody or whatever you like to say. So like we were just talking, number 1 is they move naturally. So like we were saying, sun up, sun down, they're just moving around. They're picking up stuff, they're working, kind of that old school mentality where you grow your own gardens and things like that. They're just constantly moving. Number 2 is they found that in these areas, all these people have a purpose. They feel like they have a purpose. Where that's very interesting as well, because a lot of people, and I know here in the States, sometimes purpose is not, they don't know what, what, everybody's a little confused, but in these zones people know what they're about and what they're living for.
Now, do you feel that that could be some of their environment, so their culture, their tribe, so to speak,
Yep.
of how they're raised and developed? So that's kind of just like the way of life traditionally that's been passed down.
Yeah, a little bit more grounded is
yeah.
what it would be.
Less
I think.
distractions.
Yeah. So number 3 is they called it downshifting. So basically, so these areas, they have stress just like everybody else, but what they do is they make it a point every day to take a few moments out of their day to be present, gratitude, but also what I found was really cool, they take a few moments to remember their ancestors.
Mm.
And really, if you do that, like I think about some, but I never really was very deliberate about it. But if you think about your ancestors and who they are and how they helped you get to where you're at, I mean, that's a lot of happiness just right there. And they make it a point every day to do that.
Yeah, and that goes to the gratitude and awareness. I mean, you see that in any self-development podcast, and that's what I feel with these common themes. These are the normal ways of life that these individuals are living, and I think it's very important to take some notes. And like you said, be grateful for where you came from.
Yep.
And then live on the legacy, so to speak, of the foundation that was laid before you.
Yeah, it's hard to sometimes reflect like that because there's just so much crap going on in the world, but it is very important to do that. So number 4, the 80% rule. This is definitely something us Americans don't do very well. Stop eating when you're 80% full.
That's hard.
Yeah. Kind of like my grandpa said that his dad would always say, you know how you lose weight? You just back away from that trough. You just got to back that seat up. But it's so hard. I mean, something's good. You're chowing down, but these people are going, okay, I'm not all the way miserably full, so I'm done.
Yeah, and man, that's tough because a lot of that too is how fast you're eating.
Yep.
Because it takes around 7 minutes to start to hit your stomach where the sensation of feeling full. So that's tough for me. I eat like a dog, man.
Because if you're all in, you don't even know how full you are until like you're saying 10 minutes later, and then you're like, oh damn, I did way too much.
That's interesting though. 80%.
80%, and then they quit. And
how do they know they're at that 80%? That would be.
I guess that would just be kind of ballparking. I guess you would just go, I'm not all the way full and I feel pretty good and done. I've noticed that with even things like salads or eating. I'll eat and then I'll be like, man, I'm still hungry, and I'll go do it again. But sometimes what I'll do is I'll just eat and I'll wait. I've been trying to do that more, just wait. And you'll find out you really don't need anything else. No. But you want it. You're like, man, just give me some more mashed potatoes. I'll do that. Yeah, that one is one that I really like, and one that I really would like to start incorporating a little bit more. Number 5, plant slants. So basically, lots of plants in their diet. Lots of greens. Number 6, wine. I got to say this so I don't sound like a wine at 5. Wine at 5 o'clock. So these people, they have a couple glasses of wine every day at 5 o'clock.
So these people go into that. I know. Can we couple the areas? I know Italy.
Yeah. So
was one of the areas.
Greece, California, Italy, Japan, and Costa Rica are the five. What is that? Yeah, five main ones. So Greece, Italy. I mean, you're going to drink some wine in Italy. California, you're going to drink some wine. Japan, I really don't know, and then Costa Rica. So that's kind of, you know, that's what par for the course. What you would probably think in some of those areas.
Well, yeah, and I know there was some research out recently I saw. I don't know if you tapped into this, that kind of like your headspace when you're drinking alcohol is a big thing too. So, if like those countries as well, they have some of the best sources of water, and
Yep.
a lot of those places have natural minerals still put into their drinking sources, so they can kind of replenish and they're healthier overall. So if you have 90% of your life that you're living like these blue zones, and then they have a couple glasses of wine, I mean, that just something to be said about anything in moderation, their headspace, their mindfulness, where they're at.
Well, it's moderation, and everyone that has drank before knows that one or two, it does decrease some stress. I mean, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially if you're using it in the right way. Like if you're using it as the end of the day, sitting with your family, having a couple of glasses, and talking about stuff. I mean, that's very good for you.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of depends on how you're using it. So number 7 is faith based. So a lot of these areas are very whatever it is that they believe in, but they're very faith based.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would also go with helping them have more of a purpose. They kind of know.
100%. As you're reading awful lot of these facts are just points that is really, ultimately, regardless of what religion you are, the ultimate source of everything, being grounded, being
Mhm.
grateful. It doesn't really, ultimately those principles apply
Yep.
to everyone in a scripture nature. So
Yeah, absolutely. Number 8 is family first. So they're all about the family. Um,
familia.
so that's all about having a good support system. People feel, and that's a lot like just faith based, all those different things. You got a support system, you got a purpose, you don't feel lonely. So, and that's massive. And then number 9 is really probably the biggest one, I think. They got the right tribe. So they were born in circles that support a healthy lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were born into a home where people didn't eat well, or let's say you have family that's alcoholics, all these different things, you are more likely to move in that direction because
Mm-hmm.
you're so used to it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just who you are. But in like these areas, if you were born into one of those areas, you really don't know what's different. That's just how you eat. I'm
Mm-hmm.
from the South, so man, we're gonna eat some fried food, and we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna, and so that was kind of what I was used to. And then I move up here, and I notice people. It's a little bit different. I mean, it's not totally different, but it is different what people eat up here. Not as much butter and all kinds of stuff in the food up here. So yeah, being in the right circle, and that even applies to everything. I mean, work, succeeding in life. If you want to go to the gym, you're not going to hang out. If you want to start losing weight, don't hang out with people that don't work out.
Yeah.
You got to find somebody that works out.
Well, and the biggest, if we can have a drive home point with all of
Yep.
this stuff, if you really break down all these areas that they do that causes them to live longer, ultimately in every aspect of one of those topics you've just discussed, it's all for living for a bigger
Yep.
reasoning. It's not just living for yourself. There's a
Yep.
higher purpose, there's a higher drive, there's a legacy of the family and where you come from. So that all is included in wellness. And I
Yep.
believe we've lost that,
Mm-hmm.
in society here in America. And hopefully we can start to bring those values back. But like you said, your tribe, your environment, and that can even be, you look at America, the school systems today.
Yep.
You can have an awesome home life, but the school system's broken
Mm-hmm.
and kids are, seeing all sorts of stuff that they shouldn't be seeing, or behavior that it's wasn't tolerated 20 years ago is now.
Yep.
That's the direction we're headed. So like a lot of these values, man, I mean,
Yep. Yep.
you can't trump them.
Yep. It's massive, and I think that finding the right tribe for anyone can be one of the first big steps that you take. If you're going through some things that you really don't like, find people that are doing what you would like to be, because
Mm-hmm.
they will rub off on you. and you will start to go towards that direction. And it's probably the easiest way. I mean, you can read about it on the internet, kind of whatever you want to do, but hang around people, find those people, and most of the time those people will help you out as well.
Yeah, and the older I get, the more I realize, man, if people aren't for you, they're against you.
Yep.
So pick your tribe wisely, have love for everyone, but ultimately you got to be succeeding and striving for something bigger than just that everyday stress and battle.
Absolutely. I like this topic. This was good.
Yeah, pretty solid stuff. I love hearing cultures living that long and just finding out that the true principles of healthy living is allowing them to live longer and quality of life. I can't stand when I hear people say, I hope I don't live to 85. Why the hell won't you want to live that long? What are you living for, man? I mean, and ultimately, when I'm 85, I want to feel good. It's not my choice on when I leave the planet, but ultimately every day, if I can feel as good as I possibly can, that's living, man.
That's what it's about.
All right.
All right, guys. So this is episode number 23. I bet everybody has this one down. Me and Dr. Agan are both going to take the same person. Number 23 for the Chicago Bulls, Jordan. The man, the myth, the legend.
Greatest ever, man.
Yep, he's the man. If you haven't seen what's the Nike movie? Was it called Nike? No, it was called.
Oh, the one with Matt Damon?
Yeah, with Matt Damon and them. I forget what it's called, but you can find it if you haven't watched that yet.
It's not as good as The Last Dance documentary.
Oh yes, no, it's not.
To go see
Oh yeah. If you're a big sports person, watch The Last Dance. But for people who are less sports people and you want to watch a movie, then watch that Michael Jordan movie. It's the whole story of Nike and how it all came about. So 2 movies that you can go watch.
If you're gonna go on the Nike train, you got to watch Prefontaine.
Ooh,
you ever seen that one? It's a good 90s movie. It's got old Jared Leto from 30 Seconds to Mars. He's Steve Prefontaine. I believe that's where Nike. He was. I could be wrong. He could have been the first one to actually wear Nikes. On the track.
Nice.
Back in 72, I believe. Dude, this is that little bit of the spectrum that could be on it.
Just coming back.
A memory flies off.
All right, guys. So that's the end of the episode. As always, subscribe to the channel. Leave us a review. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.